Hey, welcome to Cowboy Leather. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. It's hump day. It's hump day and it's raining here. So, you know, hope you're getting it done. Well, we've been fairly busy, enough to keep our heads above water. That medieval belt and that possible bag. I got the possible bag done. I got the straps tied up. I haven't done anything except for make the tug pieces, and I'm gonna make another belt. Yeah, another bag for that belt. So I really haven't done anything with that. My main concern was to get the hunting pouch done, so I get that listed on. I think I'm gonna put it on eBay and put it on. I do some selling on a place called Whatnot. Put them on there and see what we can do. Won't hurt, you know. But what I've got today, I've seen a few people here in the last couple months. They've been talking about different ways to keep your stitch lines and stitch grooves in a straight line, because it seems we all have issues with it. I don't care if you've been sewing, doing it 5 days, 5 years. We all have issues with keeping the stitch line straight. And there's so many reasons why we don't get them. We don't pay attention. We get in a hurry. We're not pulling the equal, possibly equal amount. When you pull your left and your right, you just, I don't know, it just does. And I notice with, I don't care if it's hand stitching or machine stitching, you're going to get crazy stitch lines. I don't know if it's the stitch groovers we use, or the wing dividers, or what. But I do see in some cases how you can get yourself in trouble. You're not truing up your edges. If you got like this is your wallet or whatever, and your edge is not trued up, it's going to cause your stitch groover to, as you're stitching out through there, it's going to cause your stitch groover to bounce back and forth on it, in and out, in and out, in and out. Or if you got it out of whack, you're coming down through, and all of a sudden it kind of takes a dive and goes in, and then comes back out again. Your edges aren't true. So, I would say that if you're having trouble, that would be the first place I'd look. Now, I have 1, 2. I got 3 or 4 of these, and they're all set for different stitch grooves. I think this one here is I think it's 1/16 of an inch heavy on the 16th. And that one there, I believe, is set for 3/8. Now, when you get these, you can take this out of here, and you can get it looks like a little shovel. Put that in there. And I have got one that has got that in it. But I notice, if you're, cooking along and everything's going great, if your leather's a little bit wet, could give you issues too. Because what it's doing is it's not only cutting, but it's widening. So, that could be another problem. It may have been sitting for 2, 3, 4 hours, and it still be damp. Or, you've got an overabundance of oil. Something's got to be, causing it to go wonky on you. Now, get yourself some good stitching irons. Keep your stitching keep that slicked up. Make sure, there's no boogers on it or there's no burr on the end. You want to keep all these tools sharp and slicked up. Because the slicker they are, the better they cut into your leather. And I highly suggest I use wax on these before I start. Wherever so many holes, I'll reach over here and I'll kind of stick it in the wax and pull it through, wax it up a little bit. You can, another thing too is you can lay your stitch, use your stitch groover, and come back and use an overlay wheel. Get yourself an overlay wheel of the stitch distance, how many stitches you are going to put in there per inch. Get one. That way, where you're putting your hole. It's like braille for the seeing. But all right, what I did is I cheated, I think. Oh, no, I didn't cheat. What I'm going to do, just for the heck of it, to see if rectify a theory, if you will. I'm going to tip the camera down, and we're going to play. Just because I just want to see something. Humor me. I'm old. All right. I'm going to take my stitch groover. I don't know which one I want. There we go. We'll use this one. this one doesn't really, it takes such a minute amount of thread or leather off. Now we'll come back, hit the other side. All right. What I'm going to do, take that, put that up there, and get this off of here, put these back over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see when I drive my stitching punch through here, if I hit that stitch line. I'm going to run up through there and just see if I'm keeping it in a straight line. So, let's see. Let's see here, where's my big beating utensil. I'll throw this thing here in the garbage can. Wants to make you go upside down. Anyways. All right. I'm on my line. Flip it around. So we're pretty good. So, if you just basically take yourself a piece of scrap leather, lay it out, get your hand so you can, basically judge it, tip it, watch when you lay it. What I do is I usually just slip it up there. It kind of falls in them. That's when we take the swing. So, if that makes any sense to you. Excuse me. That'll keep you, going in a straight line. That's just to help to go in a straight line. Do I think it would help by cutting a deeper groove? No. And the reason I say that is, if you cut a deeper groove, you're cutting it down, and you're also widening it out. And if you're using a thin thread, now it's in the bottom of your stitch groove. Now you got a big, wide, you got too much groove for the thread. Now I'll show you something else. Where is it? I had it here this morning. Oh, if you're out in the wild and you run across any good deals on a stitch groove that looks like that, by all means buy it. But don't use it on this, because I'll show you what's going to happen. This is adjustable. This is for shoes. But I have used it, and it can be used on, stitch grooving or the leather for whatever. Now, I didn't really put a whole lot of pressure on that. Let me do this side over here. Yeah, a little thicker leather. Might help. Now, you can't really see how deep that groove is. But that groove is pretty deep and it's pretty wide. But what this one is designed to do is designed to sink your thread, and then when you get all done, you take your hammer and it closes it up. Now, it totally closes it, but it closes it up over top of your thread. Now, if you're making gun holsters, that would be great. Shoes, gun holsters, anything with a thick leather, that would be ideal. Because then you can lay your thread in there and come back and seam it back up again. But I wouldn't use it on anything thin. But, you have to kind of play with it, I guess. Is what I'm trying to say. When you're laying your stitch groove, you figure out what makes you comfortable. How much pressure you put on there. And you don't want to, like I say, you don't want to bury your thread. And you don't want to use too big a thread, or you want to use too small a thread. Because if you use too small and your groove is wide, then, you're killing yourself. And then first thing somebody picks it up and goes, yeah, use too small a thread. So that's just my thoughts. Just practice. Don't, go, oh, well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And then get on your project. And when you get your stitch groove all cut and your holes all put in it, it looks like a snake. And, now you may get it a nice stitch groove, and then you start stitching. And I've watched people, they'll say, as you're working, I'll just say my stitch pony's sitting here. They pull straight out. So when they're pulling that knot, everything is staying as almost perfect. Now, I've seen some, if you're working along and you're not paying attention, you're pulling, you may pull this one straight and this one out and up. So you're distorting the leather. That's another thing. When you're hand stitching, you want to put enough tension on, but don't put too much tension on where it starts to distort your leather. I've seen people, they'll post on, how'd my stitch look? Well, instead of the stitch going like this, because it's not straight, if you look down the side of it, it's almost like they took an ice pick and put holes in it, because it's got little divots. That's why I say that's the to keep these sharp, or keep them waxed up, sharp, polished up, whatever. When you have to keep whacking on it to get it to go through, that's telling you it's time to, do a little bit of dress-up work on these. Like you saw, I had to whack it quite a bit. You should, I've had these tools, these stitch irons. I've had them when I first got them. I put a little bit of, round out strap and hit them once, twice, and it's gone through, 2 pieces of leather. There's about 16th inch, and I've only whacked it once, twice maybe. So the object is any tool that you have in your toolbox that you're going to be cutting the leather with needs to be sharp or beveled or slick. Because a dull knife, it's not cutting, it's ripping. Some of the stuff you get, the thinner leather, you want it to cut like a razor blade. You don't want that knife to rip. And, if you're poking holes, you want, sharp. Less stress on you, less stress on the tool, and it makes cleaner cuts. And yes, there's people out there that say, new job, new blade. Yeah, that's good words to live by. These X-Acto knives that we get where the blades, you break the blades off. I go through them like water. Especially if I'm cutting out. I do all my cutout and I break it off and start trimming stuff down to the exact size I need. And having a rotary knife, that's another handy thing to have, because they're pretty much razor sharp. You don't have to put a lot of, and it cuts it nice, because when you're trying to draw or push or pull on some of this thinner stuff, it's stretching. Every time even if you got a straight edge on it and holding on, you got weight, it's shifting under there. With a razor knife or razor blade, rotary cutter, you have very, very little shift. And that's the object. So, I'm not going to keep harping on it. Watch videos. Pay attention to what the people say. Even if you think that you're not getting any nuggets or any useless information out of it, you are. If I say, do something or suggest to do something, it works for me. It should work for you. once you figure out how to do this, then you can go in and figure out, well, how can I cut corners on this? How can I cut this, make this faster? You have to grasp the concept before you can cheat. I mean, and you can cheat, but it's noticeable. You know, take for instance, card player. A good card player that's a good cheat, or can work the cards, can do it so inconspicuous that you don't even see it hit. But if you're sloppy about it, people can see you doing it. So, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go probably clean up a little bit and start on another project. So, hope everybody has a good rest of the week. And I hope your tomorrow is better than today. And we're out of here. Cowboy Leather. Have a good one. Bye.